What if East and West Germany never unite? How could East Germany manage to hold out? Before we dive into that, let's start with a short lesson in geopolitics. Being East Germany in the early 80s sucks. Living standards are not improving and the centrally planned economy is stagnating. What does Erich Honecker, a staunch communist, do in response? He borrows money from the West. This leads to hardliners such as Kurt Hager starting to mistrust Honecker. The fear grows that Honecker might be a capitalist in disguise. Grab some borscht and relax while we explore how East Germany remains as the only communist nation in Europe. Begin, I want to quickly ask you to subscribe if you like alternate history content like this. In 1987, Gorbachev begins pressuring East Germany with his cool new ideas, perestroika and glasnost. For those who don't know, perestroika means restructuring and glasnost means openness. Two things East German leaders aren't very fond of. Honecker, who's not as capitalist as I may lead you to believe, remains resistant. Still, thanks to the money he took from the West, some view him as a betrayer of communist ideals. Rumors begin to spread that Honecker will give in to Gorbachev's liberal demands. Hardliners believe this would be yet a further betrayal against the state's ideology and would weaken their control. They fear that if Honecker implements perestroika and glasnost, the glorious East Germany could fall. Let's explore how real East German communists deal with Erich Honecker. Many begin positioning themselves against Honecker, and a strong opposition within East German politics grows. Many key figures inside the Stasi see this as an opportunity to gain power and begin aligning themselves with Honecker's opposition. The man who gains the most power through this process is Kurt Hager. He is infamous for two things. First, for denying that a common German cultural nation exists, and secondly, for losing his head once. That really happened, by the way. Thanks to his role as a chairman of the Education Committee and member of the National Defense Council, his power grows a lot in the late 1980s. In 1987, Hager begins building a coalition of like-minded officials within the SED and Stasi. They call themselves the Red Guard. They secretly begin making plans to assassinate Erich Honecker to consolidate power. They plan to kill Honecker during a military parade to ensure a quick transition of power. They set up a trusted Stasi official to carry out the hit. In June 1988, they use their window of opportunity when Erich Honecker holds a speech during a broadcasted military parade right outside of East Berlin. The Stasi officer is disguised as a security detail and positions himself within meters of the podium. While Honecker begins speaking, the Stasi officer quickly draws his pistol and fires 6 shots at Honecker before the actual security takes him down. 5 of the shots hit their target, 3 in critical areas. Honecker is rushed to a nearby hospital where he dies within 2 hours of the attack. Kurt Hager and the Red Guard impose emergency measures and declare martial law after Honecker's death. Hager is quickly announced to be the new leader of East Germany. He places loyalists in key positions within the government and military. The now dead assassin is declared to be a West German spy. This heightens the tension between West and East Germany. Many citizens within East Germany grow a stronger distrust of the West and begin viewing it in a less romanticizing light. Soon, Kurt Hager will be infamous all around the globe. Kurt Hager is a strong hardliner and was historically heavily opposed to reforms such as perestroika and glasnost. Initially, Hager faced strong opposition within the Stasi and SED in 1988 after he came to power. Thanks to the clever tactic of letting your opponents disappear, he soon has East Germany under his firm control. After finishing his consolidation of power, Hager begins to implement a strong cult of personality within East Germany. He takes heavy inspiration from a, let's say, well-known figure, Joseph Stalin. Like Stalin, he praises himself as the father of the nation and the fulfiller of true communism. At one point, Hager even tries to grow a mustache. He also uses his knowledge from his previous positions to his advantage. The state media portrays him in a very glorified light, and he's labeled as the savior of East Germany. Through his propaganda, he pushes a narrative of external threats, mainly coming from West Germany. Thanks to this propaganda, many East Germans begin to fear West Germany. He also pushes the narrative of West Germany being a weak and prideless nation, while East Germany creates strong and ideal men. He often refers to West Germany as gay Germany, which further stirs hatred against homosexuals in East Germany. The economy under Hager aims to become self-sufficient. He breaks free from the reliance on Western loans and shifts the focus towards heavy industry and military production. He also introduces stricter conscription laws and restricts consumer goods. The state maintains central control over the entire economy. Hager increases the military spending significantly and focuses on heavily protecting the border. He places dozens of new soldiers in freshly constructed guard towers along the Berlin Wall. In 1989, it is almost impossible for East Germans to escape. Many still try, but almost all get either killed or captured and then executed. By this point in time, the East German policies closely resemble those of North Korea, and the two nations begin seeking closer ties. While the progress of Soviet collapse slowly picks up steam, the US identifies East Germany as a clear threat to international security within Europe. The West watches cautiously as Eastern Bloc nations slowly liberalize, while East Germany remains firm in their views. Sanctions are imposed in an attempt to force them to liberalize. By this point, Hager's nation is completely isolated if you don't count North Korea. The population is poor, but thanks to heavy propaganda, their desire to escape slows. For many gay and trans cisgender people become the scapegoat, and Hager turns a blind eye as brutal attacks against homosexuals become more and more frequent. Many hardline communists from Eastern Bloc nations and the USSR get granted refuge in East Germany. Several Soviet nuclear scientists flee to East Germany during the collapse of the Soviet Union. Hager grows increasingly paranoid that the West will invade if the Soviet Union falls. While the world is occupied with the Soviet collapse, Hager sets up a top-secret underground nuclear facility outside of Dresden, where ex-Soviet scientists begin to enrich uranium. Do you think he'll be able to get precious nukes? East Germany's ties with North Korea, they managed to acquire uranium on the black market. The uranium mainly comes from third-party nations like Pakistan, Iran and China. This takes a heavy toll on the East German economy. It leads to significant resource allocations towards the nuclear program, diverting funds from essential services and consumer goods. East Germany only narrowly avoids a famine. The nuclear facility is top secret and well hidden from satellites and other spy methods, though the only reason their purchases of uranium are undetected is pure luck. Thanks to the turmoil in the Soviet Union, Western intelligence agencies are distracted. With each month passing, Hager comes closer to nuclear weapons, seemingly without major issues. However, he can't control every individual. In May 1992, a physicist named Klaus Fuchs, who was working on the nuclear program for nearly 2 years, takes a drastic step. Motivated by Western riches, he forges copies of crucial documents detailing the uranium enrichment process, facility layout, and key personnel. Under the cover of darkness, he sets out from Rostock in a small wooden boat, navigating by the stars to avoid detection. The journey is harsh, lasting 12 hours, but he successfully reaches Denmark. He immediately travels to London and doesn't even glance at the Tower Bridge when making his way into the MI6 office. The MI6 reception doesn't take Fuchs too seriously, thanks to his visually crazy appearance. Remember, the guy just rode for 12 hours and immediately flew to London without changing. While they do make copies of all the documents, they initially deny him to speak with any higher. Luckily for the physicist, while he was arguing with the staff, John Scarlett, the director of intelligence, walks by and promptly joins the conversation. Upon hearing the case, he escorts the physicist into a secluded office and lets him explain the whole situation. Within hours, MI6 begins coordinating with the CIA and BND on how to deal with the threat. They set up a joint headquarters in West Berlin to coordinate their efforts. All three agencies send some of their best men to deal with the case. To the increased oppression against gay people in East Germany, small underground resistance groups spring up in many cities like East Berlin, Leipzig, and most importantly for our story here, Dresden. There's a small resistance group in Dresden with roughly 100 members. They call themselves Dresden's Pinke Panther, which translates to Dresden's Pink Panthers. Check out the silly little flag I made for them. Their ultimate goal is to assassinate Kurt Hager, however they are not nearly equipped enough to do that. Mostly they focus on avoiding East German authorities. Many of the gay resistance groups, including Dresden's Pink Panthers, converse with West Germans through secret radio channels on a regular basis. The BND gets wind of this and they begin making plans on how to aid the gay East German resistance. Konrad Portzner, the head of the BND, briefs the CIA and MI6 about the situation. They quickly begin to focus on Dresden's Pink Panthers. The intelligence headquarters set up in West Berlin aimed at destroying the East German nuclear program makes contact with Johannes Müller, the leader of Dresden's Pink Panthers. They inform him about Hager's plan to build nuclear weapons and urge the importance of stopping the program. The CIA also briefs him about a man named Andrei Volkov. He's a gay nuclear physicist who defected from the Soviet Union into East Germany during the collapse. Dresden's Pink Panthers begin searching for Andrei Volkov. Volkov was recruited by the East German regime for his expertise in nuclear physics and uranium enrichment technologies. He became a key figure in the secret nuclear facility near Dresden, overseeing crucial aspects of the uranium enrichment process. Despite his scientific brilliance, Volkov drew disillusion with Kurt Hager's increasingly oppressive regime and its propaganda campaigns antagonizing homosexuals like himself. In the first 2 months of their search for Volkov, Dresden's Pink Panthers don't have any luck. On a random day in May of 1993, Johannes Müller makes a trip from Dresden to Leipzig to meet the resistance there. In the train, he notices a man sitting a few seats away from him that matches the description of Volkov. He sits next to the man and begins a casual conversation. He quickly learns that the man is indeed from the Soviet Union and his name is Andrei. Johannes Müller can't believe his luck. Müller manages to convince Volkov of the cause quickly, since Volkov himself has a strong hatred for Hager and East Germany. Volkov takes part in subsequent meetings of the resistance and gets in contact with the Western intelligence agencies. He proves himself by sharing top secret details about the nuclear facility. Thanks to the leaked documents provided by Klaus Fuchs, Volkov and the CIA quickly come up with a plan. They identify targets for sabotage in the nuclear facility and begin making plans. After weeks of meticulous preparation, Andrei Volkov proceeds with his mission. He navigates through routine security checks with practiced ease, blending in seamlessly with his colleagues. Timing his moves carefully, he identifies a brief window of opportunity amidst the bustling activity of the facility. With steady hands, Volkov covertly plants a small explosive device near the central computer, concealed with his personal belongings. The bomb is set to go off after several hours when Volkov and the other scientists have already left. What Volkov didn't know is that several hidden security cameras surveil the room. The CIA has ensured him that no such cameras exist since they weren't mentioned in the leaked documents. Volkov makes his way to his desk and continues working on his calculations like usual. He doesn't notice the Stasi officers approaching him from behind. After hours of being tortured by the Stasi, Volkov finally gives in. He reveals his motivations to them and snitches on Dresden's Pink Panthers for the promise of being imprisoned, not executed. The Stasi quickly raids the headquarters of the Pink Panthers and detains all members. Through the means of torture, they get to know about many other gay resistance groups. Within 24 hours, over 2,000 gay East Germans and other resistance fighters are arrested. The next day, all of them get executed in a televised manner to deter anyone from trying something similar. The Western world strongly condemns East Germany, and the CIA intentionally leaks their knowledge about the East German nuclear program to the world. As a response, East Germany sets up a blockade of West Berlin. Within less than 48 hours, East Germany went from being ignored by global politics to being on the center stage. Many nations all around the world, but especially the US and EU, heavily condemn East Germany for the treatment of homosexuals and the nuclear program. Heavy sanctions are imposed on East Germany. Talks begin between West Germany and the US for a joint invasion to topple Hager from power. They believe their only window of opportunity is now, before he acquires nukes. Many nations quickly condemn the US plans for invasion and try to urge for diplomatic solution. West Germany tries to convince Hager through many means to stop the nuclear program and lift the blockade. Hager, of course, doesn't back down. In December of 1993, the US and West Germany announced that they will launch a joint invasion if the blockade of Berlin isn't stopped and the nuclear program shut down. They set the deadline for January the 12th, 1994. EU politics split on the issue and heavy infighting ensues. Nations like France and the UK tried to heavily stop the plans and put pressure on West Germany without success. Right after New Year's Eve, both West German and American troops begin assembling on the East German border. Tanks on both sides of the Berlin Wall are facing each other at Checkpoint Charlie. It feels like history is repeating itself. The pressure grows within the next days as more and more troops assemble on both sides of the border. Peace protests begin to erupt in many West German cities. Germans aren't keen on the idea of going into war against their brothers and sisters. However, thanks to American pressure, the West German government doesn't back down. War seems imminent as neither side is prepared to give in. On January 10th, 2 days before the planned invasion, Rügen, a remote East German island, lights up. East Germany has successfully tested their first nuclear warhead. The world is stunned. Within hours of the test, Kurt Hager makes a public announcement to the people of East Germany, explaining that there are 2 secret nuclear facilities, one near Dresden, as the world has come to know. He claims that they have successfully built several functioning nuclear warheads, proven by the test. He also makes the threat that if any foreign troop, no matter if American or West German, lays foot on East German soils, he will target major West German cities with his nuclear warheads. The Western world is in crisis. Within hours of the publication, tens of thousands of West Germans begin protesting in the streets. The West German government quickly announces that there will be no invasion of East Germany. The US also withdraws the majority of its troops from the border without making any public statement. Other Western nations quickly denounce the East German threats, and an EU-sanctioned embargo is set on East Germany. Not that it makes a big difference since the nation is already extremely isolated. However, some nations, mainly Iran and North Korea, applaud East Germany for deterring the Western attack. It is now clear to the world that Kurt Hager's dictatorship will remain. Thanks to the embarrassment, both the US and West Germany suffer politically. Many Western nations heavily condemn the plans, and the US is left in embarrassment as they failed to deal with a small nation like East Germany. George Bush Sr. becomes the president with the lowest approval rating at this point in history. While the US still experiences strong levels of hopefulness towards the future thanks to the end of the Cold War, the mentality in Europe is different. The unification of Germany had a strong impact on the European mindset and showed many that a better future is indeed possible. In this time when the hope that marked Europe in the 90s is absent, the general population in Europe has a more anxious attitude towards the future. In return, the existence of East Germany strongly strengthens the European Union. Countries work even harder to work together. East Germany serves as an important reminder of how harmful and dangerous authoritarianism is. In West Germany, the right-wing political party AfD never gains any substantial ground. Even throughout the 2010s and 2020s, Europe remains strongly liberal. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more alternate history content. If you enjoyed the scenario, I'm sure you'd also enjoy these other scenarios I made. On the right we have a scenario about the Second Russian Civil War, which claimed almost 2 million casualties and led to quite a few new countries being born. On the left we have a scenario about a world without nuclear weapons. This leads to quite a different Cold War ending. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.